you. Welcome along to Sunday Supplement, the show where we digest, analyse and debate the sports stories inside the Sunday papers. As usual, so much to talk about this morning as Arsenal take a stranglehold on the title race. West Ham United move out of the relegation zone while piling the pressure on Spurs. What to make of that Chelsea huddle? Joining me to discuss it all are Craig Hope, Chief Football Reporter at the Daily Mail, who was at Stamford Bridge last night, Miguel Delaney, Chief Football Writer at The Independent, who witnessed Premier League history at the Emirates, and Jack Rosser, Football Reporter for The Sun. He was also at Stamford Bridge. Welcome along, great to have you all here. Let's see what's making the headlines this morning. They think it's all over is the headline in The Sun after Max Dowman helps Arsenal open up a 9-point lead in the title race. And above that, Earl hammered but defiant Pep says title race is still on. Max impact is the headline on the front of The Observer after Dowman became the youngest scorer in Premier League history. The Sunday Telegraph focuses on the Six Nations, England's Paris heartbreak after France win with the last kick of the game in Paris. Super Saturday is how the Sunday Times describes events in Paris and Ireland's win over Scotland. The rugby is also the lead in the Mail on Sunday. England go down fighting, and below that, Arteta salutes game-changing Dowman. The Star on Sunday leads with Manchester United and the headline Mission Possible as the club targets winning the title in its 150th anniversary year. While the Sunday Mirror focuses on a huge game at Anfield today and a warning from one of their former players that they will be relegated unless they learn to win ugly. Okay, let's start with the title race and the events at the Emirates. A historic day at the Emirates as well. We'll come to Max Dowman in a moment, Miguel, but Saturday, March the 14th, the Sun on Sunday's headline is they think it's all over. Was that the day the title was effectively done for you, do you think?
I wouldn't go that far yet, given the two teams have to play. But it's a very significant step. And I think mostly because, look, obviously one of the defining themes of this season, and especially the last few weeks, has been Arsenal, their visible desire for this, the angst about that 22-year wait, and almost a sense that as good as City have been over the past decade, that Arsenal are kind of playing themselves a little bit. And I think what was so significant about yesterday, because that had been a really testing battle of a game where they didn't look like scoring, to get out of it, I think that can have a transformative psychological effect in itself. They've got the gap, or the points gap, back now at a key moment. And look, City, they have it in them to turn this round. If they beat Arsenal in that big game, you know, the gap could be cut again. But they've got so much to do. And Arsenal now at the point where they can actually count it down. 5 wins in 7. And they've got the league for the first time since 2004.
Craig, if I direct you to Jesse Parker Humphrey's piece in The Observer, and it picks up on something Miguel said just about the atmosphere at the Emirates, and the article says this stomach-knotting experience is going to be standard for Arsenal as they not so much inch, but maybe millimetre their way to the finish line this season. It's a privilege to get to spend every match at this stage of the season in agonies of anxiety. Try telling Arsenal fans that. It is testament to the position that Arsenal put themselves in, although it's also understandable that any excitement about that has long been tempered by the experiences of seasons past. They are worried it will all go wrong because they know that in the past it has. But if we're looking at what's happening on the pitch now, is this coming down to Arsenal's consistency and sheer will to win, or maybe City's shortcomings, or maybe a combination of both now?
Well, all of that anxiety and that worry, it felt like during the final 6-7 minutes last night, all of that evaporated. If we go back, as recently as 6-7 weeks ago, it felt like a fan base online and in the stadium that was waiting for Arsenal to lose the title. Last night, it felt like a fan base waiting for them to win the title. It feels like there's been a mentality, a mindset shift, not just amongst those on the pitch, but those in the stands as well. And there was a real giddiness and a real excitement about the stadium during the closing stages. And I think a young player like Max Dowman can do that. It's almost like Mikel Arteta's had this wild card, this joker in his back pocket since last summer. I saw him play out in Singapore in pre-season, and you go back to then, and the only surprise I've got is not that he's impacted the way he has, it's that we've had to wait until March to see that. And I just think a young player who can capture hearts and minds, who can instill energy, enthusiasm, excitement in a fan base and in his teammates could just be I use that word, the joker, to give them that final push. And the last 10 days have been huge. 10 days ago we were talking about a title race and it was still in both teams' hands given they had that fixture coming up. Well, that's changed. It's been a really, really bruising 10 days now for Manchester City, a brilliant 10 days for Arsenal. And yeah, it's been theirs to lose for a long time. We've been speaking about this and we've been waiting for them to lose it. To come back to what I said now, I think we're waiting for Arsenal to win it.
Jack, Jonathan Northcroft was at the Emirates Stadium as well, and clearly the big headline was Max Dowman. He says, an unforgettable story. Dowman, just 16 years and 73 days old, transformed not just this football match, but he says maybe the whole season, taking this pivotal game in his team's direction. He did it with his utterly prodigious levels of poise, grace and class. And it happened so quickly, you would say, football, bloody hell. But think of Dowman's age. You should not swear in front of kids. Would you go as far as to say that the direction of the title race has been changed by that substitution?
Yeah, definitely. And I think to touch on Craig's point, we've spoken so much about how the Emirates has been just a ball of nerves in these tighter games, sort of waiting for Arsenal to go one up and then they start kicking on. And it sounded like, Miguel will know better, but it sounded like for 88, 89 minutes yesterday, that's exactly what it was. But a substitution like that just gives everyone something to smile about as well, makes everyone relax, gets everyone behind them again. You probably don't have the fans on their back. And for him to come on and not only perform in a stadium that is going to feel like that and have that angst, and he'll be acutely aware of that, having sat on the bench and experienced it, to turn the game like that is fantastic for him. And it's so powerful for Mikel Arteta to almost have held him back and then show the trust to go, come on. And I think he said afterwards he's been giving the same message to Dowman as he did to all his more senior substitutions that he brought on, that this is the time to go and make something special happen, not just get out there and enjoy it, but really make an impact and turn the title race. And I think that is it now.
You were in the stadium, Miguel. Did you actually notice that change in atmosphere, not just when they scored, but maybe when he actually came on? Yeah,
there was the anticipation. And the one thing actually I would say about all of this as well is, again, we've been talking so much about Arsenal angst. Well, now, I mean, even to a small degree, this run-in, it's not just about that. It's now about the excitement and potential of youth in a way that it does invigorate a team. And now, any time he comes on, or if he starts, I mean, Arteta was asked about that for the game on Tuesday, immediately after the game, and he just went for the first time, calma. Basically, he is still just 16. But as Jessie touched on her piece as well, I was feeling it myself, because you can't book because of where that press box is. It's right in that section. We're kind of surrounded by fans. They're always looking around to us for any kind of VAR decision, and kind of if something's not going right with the team, they turn around to us and kind of put that in your article and all this. But there was an obvious angst. You could feel that it was going. I have to say, on 87 minutes, just before Dowman's cross, which was itself kind of like a directness that Arsenal had been missing, and for the first time maybe flummoxed Pickford, who had a good game and has recently been having his own save of the season competition. But I was writing about how they badly needed a goal, and David Raya was there. He was looking for a pass to make forward, and nothing was opening, so we had to play it to the side. 87 minutes, and they're playing the ball around their own backline, looking for that goal. And then it's Dowman that actually changes the direction of the game, and he had been doing that from when he came on. And now, any time he plays, there's got to be this buzz. And in a weird way, it's strange to say this about a 16-year-old, but given the kind of pressure around Arsenal attacking and all these debates, he almost takes some of that pressure away, because there's a positive focus on him now.
Craig, Sam Dean was also at the Emirates Stadium from the Sunday Telegraph, and This is nice what he's written here. Every title contender faces occasions such as these: a stubborn opponent, a desperate grind, and a night when one moment of magic is required. Produce that moment and it feels like destiny is on your side. On came Max Dowman, and we know we're going to get these comparisons. A 16-year-old kid who is balancing his GCSEs with the Premier League title challenge. There is going to be a clamour for him now to get even more minutes, maybe even start more games for Arsenal. But he does look like he is someone who will take it in his stride and can handle that kind of pressure.
He does. Just to look at his poise, he's got that lovely straight back. He doesn't look like a 16-year-old. He doesn't carry himself like a 16-year-old. To take it back to last summer, I was out in Singapore covering the pre-season of several Premier League clubs with my young boys, all football fans, and Arsenal were very kind. They said, come along and come in. And Max Dowman was 15 at the time. He scored a hat-trick in training, and my young boys were absolutely blown away by this young man who was only 6 years older than my oldest. I said, can you believe this? And then he comes on the following day against AC Milan and immediately changes the game. He does the same against Newcastle, not insignificant opponents, 3 or 4 days later, which is why I said at the top there, my only surprise is this was the end of July. We're now, in the middle of March, we've had to wait so long to see this prodigious talent be unleashed, and this just feels like the start of something special. Yes, we're talking about Arsenal, we're talking about a title race. I think this conversation will ultimately lead to a World Cup into the States in the summer. He's that good. He's got that charisma about him. Speaking to those on the inside, I think he knows it. There's a little bit of an attitude and a swagger there that he might have to control. But goodness, that's okay, isn't it? Look at the impact he's having. He's special. He really is.
But that's what you need in those moments yesterday as well. Everyone talks about attitude, ego, if somebody fancies themselves a bit. But you can't come on and turn games like that without knowing you've got it in you to do it as well. And yes, it's something you want to keep an eye on and control, especially for a young player, but the best players need that sort of thing. They need to be able to walk onto a pitch in a nervy situation, whether in a title race or with an international team at a major tournament, and know that they can make a difference.
So from what I'm told, and I mean, like as regards to kind of the attitude as well, yes, they're aware of it. I mean, how couldn't you have that confidence, that ability? But his parents do still ground him. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. But even like Craig was mentioning kind of his ability there and taking on players. I mean, there's the ability. There's actually what he looks like. I mean, he's 6'1". He does look like a man. But also, from what I'm told as well, it's the football brain, which is why Arteta is so confident he can handle it. Like I was told a story that with Arsenal, Arteta's kind of tactical and pressing instructions can be so complex that they take players a while to internalise them. Even like some of their most senior pros took them months to adapt. Apparently Dowman gets it in seconds. So what they were all raving about last night, from what I'm told, in the Arsenal dressing room was, as that ball was dropping for the chase away to where he actually scores a goal, it's the header they were all raving about. That have it for the 16-year-old, had the presence of mind in that moment, just strain his neck muscles and head the ball forward and down away from Mikalenko, and it left Mikalenko like falling over because he was so surprised by it. But yeah, and he processed that in a millisecond.
He's beaten 2 players to score the goal. We've all focused on the nonchalance of the run from halfway and the brilliant touch in front of himself, but he's actually beaten 2 men to get to that point. It's actually a really clever, cute defensive action to get himself in that attacking position. Yeah, it's super exciting.
I do like the brief moment when he's sort of just about to put it in there, where he's checking over both shoulders, sort of going, oh my God, I am going to do this. There's just a little flash that this guy is actually 16, he is still human.
Just finally on this, Jack, Sam Dean also writes, Dowman's moment, Arsenal's night, and he asks Arsenal's title with a question: if they do make it over the line, they will look back on this evening as the most crucial of occasions, a night when their brains were tested as much as their bodies, when the cruelest of questions were about to be asked. Bottle? I know we keep asking this question about Arsenal, and he says, how about they bottle this feeling? It could carry them a long, long way. How far could it carry them? Because this could be a special season, maybe even an unprecedented season. It's still on, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a chance for it to be an absolutely incredible season. I think, you know, that question that Sam puts about the bottle and all the chat that there's been around Arsenal this season of whether they're going to slip up or not. They don't play again in the Premier League until April the 11th, I think. And that's a long time to go, having maybe drawn 0-0 at home to Everton. You can go away and do something in the Champions League. You can go and get through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. You can win the Carabao Cup against City. But their main goal, whether it's a quadruple or what that they're chasing, all they want this season really is the Premier League. And if that was in the back of their minds between now and nearly the middle of April, that would have been a big problem for Mikel Arteta.
So come on, Martin, when we look at the title race and we look at the remaining fixtures for Arsenal and for Manchester City, come the 19th of April, it's now been moved, isn't it, to that Sunday afternoon in Manchester, are we still going to be close in this battle?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's still opportunities here for City. I mean, they're 9 points clear. Arsenal right now, there's a game in hand they can win. They can also beat Arsenal to close that gap to 3, but look at the goal difference and maybe we're talking 10 points here. So it's all on Man City really to start to turn this around, but they can do it, and I won't go against him, but the game, it just has to go from game to game. The next one's away at Chelsea and Arsenal have a home game. So this is an important period, and these away games are really catching up with City right now, not getting the points they need.
Stuart, you know that man very well, better than us, Martin Keown, but is this him excited? Is this because he's not looking? Look at his face.
I would like to see him depressed if that's him excited, if truth be known. I mean, to be fair,
Martin, you're allowed to believe now. You can believe.
Been in this position a number of times, so you know, you're always cautious. Always cautious. You get a slap across the face very easily in this game of football, the Premier League. So you take it from game to game.
He said they got no chance of winning the Premier League, but we could win all 4 this year in the same breath. It's incredible. I can't work him out.
He believes in the quadruple. So
Exactly.
I think that's what'll get them over the line. The squad that he's built over a long number of years. He has spent the money as well. Let's not get that wrong. But I think this is the year where second no more will, and they're going to get their hands on the Premier League trophy.
Martin, what were your views of the performance in general? Stuart touched on it earlier, but you know it was nerve jangling at times, wasn't it? And as I say, they've got those 3 points very late.
Wasn't nervous, was he? You weren't nervous.
Do you know it was David Moyes? It was made difficult by a very wily old manager in David Moyes, who seems to get better year on year.
Yeah.
You know, McNeil shooting from distance. Dewsbury Hall as well had good opportunities. They sat quite deep. We know that they do that, and then they counter-attacked with real purpose. I just feel they just need a striker, someone who can hold on to the ball for them to get even better. But David Moyes is putting really big steps in the right direction for that football club. I think they'll be absolutely fine next year. They might even make Europe this time around.
Does it feel like a game that we'll look back on, though, if Arsenal do get the ultimate prize and think, yeah, that night against Everton, 89 on the clock, still 0-0?
I think the tipping point has gone. You know what I mean? That result late on was a massive result for Arsenal. They're under pressure every time they play. Everyone keeps saying, haven't won it for 5 years, haven't won it for a number of years, come second. They're playing with that weight of expectation on them all the time. And every time they tick a game off and get over the line like they have today, it just takes the weight off slightly.
What's it like at this stage, Martin, going for a title? 10 out now?
Do you know, I think you play your whole career to get into these situations, so you have to love it. You don't fear it. You must wake up every morning and pinch yourself, because it's kind of unique to be in a situation where you can possibly win 4 trophies, and that dream is still alive.
He's not committing, is he? No, they're in such a strong position. They really are. And again, they've had the scars, Martin. To be fair, in the last couple of years, finishing second, everyone has a go at them. Even when they drew against Wolves, a month or so back, they're going to crumble. They're going to fall apart. But again, Arteta's managed to keep a lid on that. He's managed to keep the heads together. And again, it feels like a key moment. We've seen teams in the past, Fergie's at Man United, late goals. You've seen Man City do it. Aguero obviously famously scoring a late goal. Today it feels like that sort of momentum. Usually 89th minute, 2 very, very late goals. And you see the celebrations after Max Diamond's goal. They're all in there. They're all in it together. And it's a feel-good factor around the club at the minute.
I think as well, some people look back over the seconds in previous years and use that as a whip to beat Arsenal with. I see it as building blocks in getting their hands on the title this year. I really do. I think Arteta's learnt a lot from what's gone previous to this, and I think they've learnt a lot in regard to the squad size that you need to win a title. You can't just do it with 14 players now. You need the impact from the bench, and we saw that once again today.
And how much will the dynamic change in the fact that they play in 3 cup competitions before their next Premier League game? Obviously, you win them, you keep the momentum, right?
Yeah, you don't want that balloon being popped. And you don't know how the group's going to respond if they lose a game. So Leverkusen, the last-minute goal again was key there to come and win this one today. And then you go into the next game then feeling, hold on, Leverkusen, come on, let's bring it on. And then hopefully that's a good one. You've got this incredible cup final coming up with Man City. It's always City in the background. So, no, this has been a good week already, and it could be even better for next week.
Yeah. So there we go.
We will talk a little bit more about that. But for, 88 or so minutes, Ashley, you had crafted a really lovely piece of analysis on how well Everton were defending. And they did. for almost all the game.
Yeah, absolutely. They nearly executed the perfect away plan again under David Moyes. They did ever so well, right up to, as you say, the 88th minute when it was just probably the only time they switched off. Arsenal are just on the attack. We've highlighted Dowman. Mykolenko gets a good tackle, but then he thinks his job's done. I don't know if he's expecting a long throw-in, but he switched off. They take a quick throw-in. Great ball in from Dowman. Hincapié at the back stick, and then, like all good strikers, he's in the right place. Jordan Pickford on his 350th appearance. Joe, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
you can talk us through that one.
I think David Moyes touched on it brilliantly, actually. Jordan's come, he actually gets a tiny little touch, and look, sometimes this touch you're going to see here is enough. It takes it off someone's head. This one hits Hincapié in the chest, over to Gyökeres, and look, that's not going to stay in Jordan Pickford's season. He's been absolutely magnificent. He was brilliant today, but unfortunately, he's got that one wrong. Gyökeres cannot believe his luck.
Why do you think he comes for it, Joe?
Because he's that kind of goalkeeper who wants to help his team. He's one of the main men for Everton. He's a captain on the day. He's a top keeper. I hate seeing that in the background because he's been so good this year. But that's the life of a goalkeeper. And Jordan will accept that, and I'm sure he'll be brilliant next game.
We saw Max Dowman's involvement in the first goal. He went even better and became the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer at 16 years and 73 days. I mean, it's just incredible.
Unbelievable. And these are the kind of days that you just love the Premier League and you love football for situations like this. Everton are now pushing on. You can see Jordan Pickford in the box trying to get his head on things. That's a great header, by the way, from Gyökeres. And then this is just down to Max Dowman. He's got so far to run. Brushes off Mykolenko, a little bit of skill around Dewsbury Hall. Then he kind of eases up and then has a little bit of a panic. Sensible finish into the goal. And what an absolute brilliant moment for him. Can you imagine being his age right in about now and just realising, oh my gosh, I'm going to score my first goal at home. And then you see what it means. He just wheels off. And look at Declan Rice's face. I love that. The suspension all the way down, Joe. It's a brilliant moment, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. I think Dowman's so composed. And he comes on and he believes in his ability. He's not surprised at what he's done. It's only when he sees the reaction of the stadium and his teammates, he realises what a big moment that is in the Premier League. One, in the Premier League as a history. Two, in the title race.
And if, everybody alluded to it there, he doesn't play like a 16-year-old. He doesn't play like the Premier League's youngest ever goal scorer.
No, look at those numbers. James Vaughan, 20-odd years he's been holding that record.
5 years before Max Dowman was born.
Well, there you go. That sums it up. But I've heard Declan Rice talk about him all the time, and it's just, you hear nothing but compliments. Played against Mansfield recently, a really mature performance. And like I say, when he scored that goal, he believed he was going to score that goal. He believes he should be on that pitch. And that's not an arrogance, that's a confidence. I think we've got a real special player on our hands.
And it's not just the fact that he's a 16-year-old. It's about the decision that Mikel Arteta made to bring him on. And this has been something he's got consistently right as the season's gone on. I think Arsenal players have scored or assisted from the bench 21 times this season.
And a part of that is the strength in depth that the squad have got, which we spoke about at the start of the season, that might be the difference. And then also, the brilliance of Mikel Arteta to bring which sub to bring on and when to bring them on. Today he got it absolutely right. Brought on Gyökeres, Martinelli and Max Dowman, and that was over Jesus, who he could have brought on, who he left on the bench. And that paid off for him. Max Dowman, by the way, when he come on, changed the game for Arsenal. He was very composed. He made things happen. He livened them up in the attack. So you can say, yes, they've got strength in depth, but also Mikel Arteta is using it very well.
And as well as Dowman has played when he's come on, is it brave from Arteta to bring on a 16-year-old at that stage of a tight game?
From what I see from Mikel Arteta, he's not taking any chances. He's bringing him on because he believes he's going to change the game. He's not in this to try and win awards or I was the one who brought Max Dowman on. He couldn't care less if he was 16 or 66. He's bringing him on to win the game.
He wouldn't win it if he brought in a 66-year-old. So Arsenal get all 3 points and then it's over.